Hello and welcome. Ever wondered how your new car could reveal your income? Thanks to TCS, not Tata Consultancy Services, it's tax collected at source. In this video, we'll delve into the concept of TCS and its crucial role in identifying tax evasion. We'll explore how TCS works, how it helps the income tax department detect unreported transactions, and as consumers, what are the things that you need to remember. Let's start from the basics. TCS is a mechanism where the seller collects tax from the buyer at the time of sale and then pays it to the government. Let's say you want to buy a car. You go to a car dealer. You are the buyer, car dealer is the seller. Now when you pay for the car, the seller would collect a tax called TCS in addition to the price of the car. And the tax so collected has to be deposited by the seller with the government, which in turn is credited to your account. That's your TCS credit. We'll shortly talk about TCS credit, but before that, let's understand how TCS works. So far, TCS was applicable only on sale of cars, but with effect from 1st Jan 2025, even high value items or so-called luxury goods would be included in this list. These luxury goods could be watches, designer handbags, or anything that's specified as a luxury good if the price is over 10 lakhs. As of now, nothing has been specified because these changes would be effective from Jan 2025 onwards, so we'll have to wait for this information. And rate of TCS is 1%. So the seller here is responsible to collect this TCS from you and then remit it to the government. To have a better understanding of this, let's continue with our earlier example, that is you gonna buy a car. Let's say the price of the car is 12 lakh. So TCS at 1% would be 12k. So the seller would collect from you 12 lakh 12,000 plus road tax, insurance premium, etc. etc. And this TCS 12k that the seller collects from you, this TCS has to be deposited by the seller with the government within certain specified time limits. Now you must be wondering, how would income tax department come to know about this transaction? This happens because of two reasons. One, at the time when the seller collects TCS from you, the seller would also collect your PAN. Two, when the seller deposits tax with the government, the seller would also report this transaction to the income tax department against your PAN. This is how income tax department would know. Now, just by reporting this transaction, nothing is going to happen. But if you don't pay tax or if you don't file your ITR when you are actually required to do, this is going to raise a red flag, and that's how you end up receiving notice from the income tax department. Let's now talk about TCS credit. Continuing with our earlier example, when the seller deposits TCS with the government and reports this transaction, the transaction would automatically appear in your AIS or 26AS. AIS is your tax credit statement, and when the transaction appears in your AIS, you'll have your TCS credit in your account. This TCS credit is very similar to advance tax because you can use this credit either to adjust against any income tax that you have to pay, or you can claim refund when you file your ITR. So remember, TCS is actually not an expense for you. 1. Use of technology and TCS in combination makes it very easy for the income tax department to detect unreported transactions. So it's better to report transactions wherever required to avoid receiving notices. 2. Avoid cash transactions. Instead, use banking channel because even hidden transactions can now be easily uncovered and you would end up paying a huge penalty. Before we wrap up, now you know TCS is a valuable tool in combating tax evasion, but if you think about it, in a way it contributes to a fairer tax system because everyone pays their fair share, which is very good. So, understanding TCS provisions would help you 1. Plan your purchases more effectively, 2. Comply with tax laws and thus avoid penalties. With this, it is a wrap on this episode. Hope it was informative. Thank you for watching.